Hello everyone, I hope you're well and have had a good week. Today's running thoughts are inspired by a talk that I went to on Wednesday this week. It was about my all-time hero, a guy called Emil Zatopek, and there's a guy, a really good author, Richard Asquith, who's just written a book about him. So it's called Today We Die a Little, so I'd recommend that. I've not read it yet, but I'm sure it'll be a brilliant read. And the reason why he's my all-time hero is because although he was incredibly successful as an athlete, he's still the only athlete to have won a marathon, 10k and 5k in one Olympics. But he was basically just widely recognised as an incredible person. He was literally loved by all of his competitors, all different events from all different nations. They've sort of been quoted as saying, some athletes, that he's just the finest person you'll ever meet. And so, it's got me just sort of thinking about the value of sport for building character. And the character that Emil Zatopek developed through his really kind of hard training gave him a lot of courage in other areas of life. And in the book it talks about how, because he was from Czechoslovakia, the old Czechoslovakia, and obviously Russia invaded them, and there was this instance where they were all in the square of the city, and the tanks were coming in, and Emil Zatopek he actually approached the tanks and he started to try and talk to the generals, in the army from Russia. He could speak Russian because he made a point to try and learn all of the languages of all his competitors, so he could talk to them. And he actually said that the head Russian that he managed to talk to in the end, although he couldn't stop what he was doing, he just said to Emil, look, I don't necessarily agree with what I'm doing here, but following orders. So although he couldn't kind of stop that, I just thought, what incredible courage and character to be able to do that. So I'm not kind of saying that everyone that does sport will build the courage to confront military forces, but it can be really helpful in life for sure, and it is definitely something that can be built. I quite like to quote this to people, especially around exam time, that so success in life is only 10% of success in life is due to intellectual intelligence, and that is pretty much fixed. You're not able to improve your intellect. But 80% of success is due to your character and your sort of emotional intelligence, if you like. Sport, as I say, is a great vehicle for being able to develop that, the likes of sort of perseverance and dealing with discomfort, resilience, reframing things, that kind of thing. A point in case in terms of how it can be developed, also how it can be lost, is I got back on the bike to do a hard training session, and I've not really done any hard training for quite a while. I've just been sort of ticking over. But often in the past when I was injured, I'd do hard training sessions, and I'd get up to sort of quite long distances, and I could only really phase doing kind of minute intervals when I did it on Friday, but I didn't beat myself up because I thought, at least I'm doing something, and I still did work quite hard, and I've planned out a bit of a progression whereby I'll start decreasing the recovery and then hopefully increasing my watt outputs, all that kind of stuff. Not that I get too het up about that. I mainly just focus on keeping my composure whilst working hard on the bike, and whatever results happen, really. And I know from previous experience that I will improve. There's a great quote from Stoic sources that say we gather strength as we go. Another good one as well is, don't compare your beginnings to somebody else's middle. Just focus on where you are and don't worry about anybody else. Just while I'm talking on sort of Stoic lines, just so happened that my quote today in my daily Stoic book, really good book, was along the lines of instead of valuing victory, it's much better to look at how you do things, I guess, and that's going to have a much more kind of lasting resonance with people. So yeah, it's basically saying, you know, if you do kind of win something, how quickly time erases such things. And so our ambition should not be to win then, but to play with our full effort. Our intention is not to be thanked or recognised, but to help and to do what we think is right. Our focus is not on what happens to us, but on how we respond. In this, we will always find contentment and resilience. Yeah, so just to sort of re-emphasise that building that character can just have so many other good knock-on effects for the rest of your life. Sorry, I've gone out of focus. Can I bring it back? There we go, magic. I read an article recently about this boot camp that they do up in Scotland, and they have lots of success with it, and the women who do it, they say that success, it's sort of mainly success in terms of weight loss, but, you know, improving overall health, is they get the women to work far harder than what they think that they're capable of. And so when they get home, it's like all of the usual sort of little doubts and temptations that they might have been flawed with before, they're strong enough to avoid the temptations and to sort of stand up to it and to keep on with pursuing their goals, just knowing that they've got that strength. So, you know, that hard training excuse me, has really built their character. And on similar lines, I was very proud of some of my athletes, because last weekend they did the Chatsworth 10k, and some of them, you know, have never done that before, hadn't perhaps had much preparation, but they, you know, they still just challenged themselves to do it, and they came away just buzzing afterwards, and they were like, right, I want to try and do 4 10Ks a year. And, you know, you could just tell that their sort of effort and belief in training this week has been notched up a level as well. So yeah, it's sport, just a fantastic vehicle for improving you as a person. Yeah, so that's my soapbox for the week. Have a good one, and I'll hopefully, I will be back next week with more wisdom, more preaching. Alright then, take care, bye.